Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Hope you're all well, inshallah. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening here, 9 p.m. UK time. Alhamdulillah, we've got a live here with, I'm hoping it's going to turn up. It's been a while since I've done a live with Baba Ali, so it might be a bit, I'm hoping won't be any issues with him being able to connect. Hope he hasn't forgotten my Instagram account. But thank you for joining, inshallah. Those of you that are coming on live, or those of you that will be watching the replay afterwards. We're talking today about like what makes you stand out as a Muslim single. So this one is going out for all our singles out there, our brothers and sisters. Like what's going to make you stand out, in all the traffic and all the congestion, whether it's on the marriage apps, whether it's, just in terms of some of the discussion, some of the interactions that you have with people, whether that's online, whether that's in person. What is going to make you stand out from the crowd? What's going to make you look attractive? I don't mean attractive necessarily just in the physical sense, because there's attraction is so much more and so much more vast than that. So Assalamu Alaykum wa rahmatullah. Rumsha, I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. So hoping Baba Ali will join us soon. But yeah, this is really the topic, okay? Because there's no secret about the fact that there's a lot of Muslim brothers and sisters out there struggling to get married, and I think this event that Our Deen have got coming up in London, which is next weekend, 27th and 28th, I believe, Saturday and Sunday, is an excellent kind of format, and I think it's a quite unique event in the way it's been put together by Baba Ali himself, the activities, the energy at these events. I mean, I've not been in person. Inshallah, I'm hoping to go next weekend. Not actually met him in person, so it'd be nice. I've done so many lives with him. We've done rooms together on social media apps like Clubhouse, but not actually met the dude in person. So it'd be nice to connect with him. But like that event, that the Our Deen event, is a unique event. And people leave that event feeling energized, and they like what they experience, and they have intentions to come back again. So with that being said, I think it's important to promote something like this. I mean, to be honest, they don't need they don't need promoting. Our Deen, mashallah, always popular, always sold out. It's good. For me, I think one of the ways that I kind of got involved in singles coaching was through Baba Ali, actually, just through working with him and kind of listening to some of his perspectives that he'd share, and I've always felt a kind of a sense of gratitude to him and his work and Our Deen. So I always try my best wherever I can, in any way, capacity that I can, to promote the work that they do. Inshallah, hopefully it'll be a engaging discussion if he comes on. If not, then we'll inshallah just we'll just keep it going amongst us, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sister Parveen, for joining, and also Sister Amreen, Jazakallah khair. I'm not sure where in the world you are, if you're still in Canada or if you're flying now, but wish you all the best. And inshallah, hope that all goes well, inshallah, in terms of your itinerary and your trip. Inshallah, may Allah bless it. But coming back to singles, it's no secret that there is a lot of Muslim singles finding it hard to get married, to find their ideal spouse. And we hear things like people complaining that they're getting ghosted, or there is a lot of trash, put for want of a better word, a lot of trash out there on some of the apps, and people who are not really serious about marriage, and they have other kind of insincere intentions, illicit intentions even sometimes, which is not good. But people unfortunately do sometimes treat these apps like like they're a playground, and for them to just kind of check out the talent and see who they can kind of pull or kind of get off with. Unfortunate, but that is what's kind of happening a lot of the time. So and one thing that I've found through the work that I've done working with singles is that there's a lot of baggage, shall we say, from childhood. So people are coming into this whole kind of marriage journey, but they've had negative emotions around lack of self-worth, not feeling good enough, not feeling loved. Maybe there was a sense of like abandonment while you were growing up, and then what that causes is you carry that into your marriage journey as well, where deep down you don't really truly feel like you're good enough to find your ideal spouse. You don't feel like you're worthy, and I personally feel that's one of the reasons why we have so many Muslim brothers and sisters, especially our sisters, who are struggling to get married, and a lot of it, I feel personally, comes down to childhood. But of course, there's things that we could do better in terms of making sure that we are trying to connect with the right people, making sure our marriage bios, our profiles, are optimized on some of the apps. Personality tests help. All of these things help, but I really feel like it's a lot of it comes down to childhood. Just that lack of self-worth, not feeling good enough, and that could be because we crave the love and attention of a particular parent, for example, or some certain certain incidents that happened during our childhood, right? Which kind of mean that we've kind of subconsciously programmed ourselves to feel like we're not good enough, we're not worthy. I think Brother Baba Ali is with us, so let's just.
Hey, Assalamu Alaykum.
Wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How you doing, my brother? You okay?
Yeah, good. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Bro, it is good to see you, man. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah.
It's been a minute.
Wow. It's been a long time, but
Yeah.
I just take that as a positive that my brother is busy doing khair, spreading khair, doing good work. Tried to kind of connect with you a few times, but it just wasn't quite possible. But I guess like like the topic today really is what makes a Muslim, male or female, it doesn't matter, but what makes them stand out from the rest, what makes them stand out from the crowd, what makes them look attractive. When we say attractive, we don't just mean that in the physical sense. What makes them attractive to talk to, attractive to look at, attractive to engage with, right? So I think like there is no one out there than you, my brother, who can break this topic down in a way which just like will hit the spot, right? So before we get into the actual topic, just a brief intro. This is our brother, for any weird, crazy people that have never heard or seen of him, Brother Baba Ali, mashallah. He was an internet celebrity when there was no such thing as a YouTuber, right? So, alhamdulillah, he's multi-talented, stand-up comedy, right? Board games, like, you name it, The last time I saw a reel of you somewhere on some beach promoting, like, Muslim, like, modest wear or whatever. What's going on here? There's brothers everywhere, right? So I was like, were you in Hawaii or something like 6 months ago or something? It was crazy.
Yeah, it was the Dominican Republic. Yeah,
Nice, mashallah. So mashallah, you're always involved in good work. But honestly, for me personally, the thing that stands out for me about you is your humbleness and your humility. Like, wallahi, this brother, we talk about social media age and we talk about brands, right? If this guy wanted, he could really like monetize his brand, and you should. I personally feel you should. Right? I feel you don't do it enough. That's just my humble opinion. But like, you know, you really could. You could have done that over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Really monetized, build your brand with all the, you know, mashallah, the passion that you have for all these different things like the board games, the stand-up comedy. Like this could, you know, really, like, you know, really could cash into that. But you've always chosen to remain humble and always try to follow your heart and do what your heart feels is right in terms from a ethical, moral point of view. And I think with yourself, correct me if I'm wrong, I think for you, Muslim marriages matter because maybe you feel the pain of some of the brothers and sisters out there because you've been on the journey yourself and you've been through some of the frustration of dealing with people in our community and some of the stereotypes, the cultural baggage, all of this nonsense, right? And I think you've tried to, with what you're doing with the half Our Deen, I think you've tried to obliterate, like just break down some of those barriers, you know, where like, you know, I've never been to an event. I'm hoping I'm going to meet you next week, but in London, but like from what I see, it's like the vibe is good. The energy is high. People are laughing. People are having fun. There's activities, there's games. And like, you know, we had an event in my hometown there recently where Sister Raquel came as well. She actually helped us to organize it, you know, in a way which had some elements of half Our Deen incorporated into the program. So we used your questions as icebreakers during the event. But it was really difficult because, you know, it was in a masjid and you've got the imam there and you've got people with a certain mindset. They feel uncomfortable with brothers and sisters, you know, kind of engaging with each other too much and all of that stuff. And I was like, wow, it's not easy. It's not easy in the work that you've done, especially in the US, where now you've got masjids like, you know, clamoring for you, saying, hey, when you're coming again, you know, we want you to bring your event to us. So, you know, you've done amazing work to kind of break down barriers. Bit of a long introduction, but I'm not reading from a script. I'm speaking from the heart. So I hope that, inshallah, you don't mind me just kind of introducing you in that way. But you know, enough of me. I think, you know, it's about you, my brother. Like, how are you keeping? How's things with you?
Alhamdulillah, everything is good. Actually, I just returned last night from an event. We did a singles event in Michigan, which is about a 4.5 hour, 5 hour flight from here. So it's first time we ever done an event in Michigan. About exactly 50% of the attendees that came to the event found the match, which was really good. And what was interesting, even with some of the volunteers that we had on staff, they were, almost all of them were first time they were helping with the singles event. And what they noticed that was really unique was that I had an iPad in front of me, or my phone sometimes, and I said, I can tell you exactly how our event is going just by my phone. Says, what are you looking at? So look, here's exactly how many people have matched. This is how many people, this is how many people have this. How many introverts we have at table number 5. No. How do you know this? I know who wants children, who does this, and all this information that's going on. And I say, if you ever go to any other singles event, and I can almost guarantee you this, they have absolutely no idea. Right. In fact, if you walk in, I actually ask this question to one of the people there. So how do you think the event's going so far? And this is what they did. We looked around the room and said, well, it looks like it's going well. So, well, how do you know what they're talking about? We don't know what they're talking about. We don't know if their interactions are genuine. We don't know if there's a connection. Or they're just being nice to each other. We don't know what's going on, but my phone is telling me exactly how they're thinking. Wow. So we built this technology that really helps us connect with the people, the single Muslims looking to get married. And I think a lot of the organizations right now, there's a complete disconnection between what the people want and what the organizers are organizing. And it's not because they have bad intentions, it's just because they don't understand the Muslim singles. And I don't think our masjids, our communities really understand the struggle that single Muslims are going through. Like when we're talking about expanding the masjid, we're talking about all these extra things. We need to build the Islamic school. The single male and female, I don't even have kids. I don't even have like, how are we going to grow if I don't have a partner to grow with? I'm by myself. Like the stuff you guys are worried about, expanding a masjid is half empty 99% of the time, except for Jummah and Taraweeh, I'm not thinking about right now. I'm thinking about where am I going to find my other half? And keep donating money to the masjid and the communities. How can you guys help serve the needs of us better? And I think there's that disconnection. And then when it comes to these organizers or these websites, the swiping apps, those people, I don't understand what they're thinking because they promote all this dating stuff. And then on top of all that, the Islamic aspect of it, just stamp the word halal on it. It doesn't work.
You're not a big fan. You're not a big fan of these dating apps.
Oh, please. Let me tell you this. Everyone who's watching right now, you have this browser open right now, right? Open up a separate browser just for fun. Just for fun. I don't care who you pick. Mismatch, Salami, choose anyone you like. Go to their success page and take a look at what they claim. And remember, this is the numbers they claim. If you want to believe it, believe it. I don't believe it myself because I don't have too much trust in them. But let's say their exaggerated numbers, 500,000 success stories, 10 million profiles. If you really believe that, take the number 500,000. You have all of us have a calculator on our phone right now, and divide it by 10 million. The answer is 0.05. For us math people out there, that's 5%, which means 95% failure rate.
Wow.
Now, if there's any other product on Amazon that says we have 95% of our people that use this product says this is garbage, this is rubbish, you would never use it. But we Muslims continue using things that don't work. We continue going to the speed dating events that don't work. We continue going to these things that don't work. We continue listening to people that have not helped us become successful.
Didn't one of
why it's failing us.
Yeah, didn't one of these organizations have like the world's biggest matrimonial in-person event or something last year?
Yeah, okay, that's an excellent example. Look, as an organizer, let's say I'm an organizer, and let's say I'm organizing my event. What is success for a typical organization? If this is purely business, I'm not saying they are business. Allah knows what each person's intention is. Even you don't know what my intention is. But let's just say from the outside, we don't know what's in people's hearts, so we have to look at the actions. We have to look at their words. If my words are all about, hey, we have 200 people at this event, then in your mind, you're like, okay, that's his measurement of success. How many people you can shove into a room like a cattle herd? How many can you shove into a tent? How many people you can put into whatever? That's your measurement of success. Do you think that person, the Muslim single who comes into a room or a tent with 1,000 people in it, they're like, mashallah, this is very successful? No. To them, their measurement of success is, did I find a match? That's it. There's nothing, they don't care about anything else. They don't care about your food. They don't care how many people you have on your social media. They don't care how many, whatever selfies you guys are taking, how cute the decorations are. They don't care about any of that if they can't find a match. Zero. This is what the organizations don't understand. There's that disconnection. They only care about one number, the match percentage. What is the likelihood of me finding my other half? Now, on the flip side of it, you have something completely different. You have the organizers who don't even care about the match percentage. If they did, they would actually tell you what it is. Instead, they're looking at how many people they can put in a room. Why? How much money you can make. If you can put 1,000 people in a room, you multiply your registration fee times 1,000. That's huge for them. And you can always boast, we have 1,000 people. Again, they're boasting about something that people don't care about, things that are not successful for them.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the real topic and have something that can be beneficial for the people who are listening. So a lot of people who are looking to get married, you're single, you're going through that struggle of trying to find your other half. And as you're struggling trying to find your other half, there's a couple of factors that are, let's say, not towards your favor. If you're a sister and you happen to be older, you know it's much more of a struggle finding someone that's looking within your age range. And if you do find that person, you're looking at their age range too. And that becomes extremely difficult, especially when there's an abundance of people within your age range, all competing for the same quality people. Now you flip the script. The younger men, the men in their early 20s, which is very different than the early sisters in the early 20s because they have an abundance of people to choose from. The men in their early 20s have almost nobody to choose from, so they have a very similar struggle. They have the lack of that stability and security, both emotionally because they haven't matured as quickly as women have. They financially because they're not where they want to be yet because they just finished university and they're trying to get there. And no matter if they go to events or they're on apps, they feel invisible. Like both that male and that female, that just two examples I give, they oftentimes feel invisible. Says, where is my attention? Because everybody else seems to be getting that attention. Who are these people? The top 5% of men and the top maybe 25% of women. They're getting all the attention. So what can I do to even the playing field, as they say, so I have a better chance of finding someone, inshallah? All right, so, but there are factors, as I said, that are not in your control. You cannot rewind your age. You cannot change your height if you're male. You cannot do certain things. There are certain things you can do that will make you highly attractive. And these are the things that, again, organizations don't talk talk about. The swiping apps we're never going to talk about because it doesn't really care for them because it doesn't match percentage. By the way, you getting married on all these applications and sites doesn't help them because you stop paying.
Yeah, wow.
They need you to keep swiping.
Interesting. I never thought of it like that.
You know, you got the people who sell drugs, they have to sell drugs to a point that you just have to keep using it. If you die, that doesn't serve their purpose. And if you get a rehab and you become clean and you're not doing drugs anymore, that doesn't help them either. They just need to keep you there. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Okay, let's go back to the topic. All right. As you can see, I'm very passionate about this because I'm watching people, even the single friends I had, suffer through all this process, and I'm just watching. I wish we can do something different. Anyways,
yeah.
What can you do if you want to some traits that you can have that will make you highly attractive? All right, and these are things that both males and females can both do. Number one, someone who's easy to forgive and late to anger. If you have that, and that's something, again, you can work on. You can say, oh, I can't do it. Yes, you can. This is things you have control over. It's not age. It's not height. It's not your ethnicity. It's not your skin color. These are things you have control over. A person, imagine how attractive your husband or wife is if they're late to anger and they forgive easily. And by the way, these are good Islamic traits to have too. All these different things we're talking about, look how they're connected to Islam and how Islam makes us more beautiful, more handsome. The second one is someone who is content with whatever they have. Now, if they have a little, they have a lot, whatever Allah has given them, when Allah takes it away, they're content. When Allah gives them abundance, they're still, whatever the situation, they are content. When you are content, you are happy. Just because someone is rich, you think they're automatically happy? Look how many people we have that are so wealthy in the world today, and they're miserable. Yet you go to the most impoverished parts of the world, people have half of what you have, a fraction of what you have, and they're happier than you. Why? It's because they are content.
Yep.
You know, and the problem is we in our life, we have so much we call first world problems. We are seeing, for some reason, we have a more difficult time of being content. And I don't understand where that comes from. And this is, I guess, maybe if I think about it, it comes from ungratefulness as human beings that we have. And human beings are naturally ungrateful. So of us Muslims who are the better of us, inshallah, maybe I'll one day become of those people, are the people who are the most grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For when Allah gives them a little, give them a lot, and more grateful you are, the more you're given. The other one is one of my favorites. It's from a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, talking about the best of you is the one who's most beneficial to others. I just want you to think about, if I could, all the stuff we're talking about today, just think about this one and then forget the rest and just do this one. Watch how much of an impact it'll make, not just on your own personal life, but what kind of impact it'll make on other people that are around you. And how much more people want you in their lives. It's people who are beneficial to others. I don't think we have too much of that these days. You have, especially within Muslims, you know how many times have you heard Muslims don't want to do business with other Muslims? It's not because of Islam, it's because of the lack of Islam. Because of this element that's missing. People want to use each other. That's not Islam. That's some type of cultural nonsense. But true Islam will show you that you need to be beneficial to others and not being nice to somebody just because there's something in return, there's something I can make out of it. Because when you have that in your heart, oftentimes you make nothing out of it anyways. But when you don't do it with that intention, suddenly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens doors for you that you didn't even think of. Things come into your life, blessings come into your life you didn't even plan. And that's part of being beneficial to others. And by the way, if I'm going too fast, please let me go because I speak 100 miles an hour.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
It's going great in terms of speed. I think Sister Raquel also just joined us as well. So
okay, alhamdulillah.
Send us a little notification to join. Inshallah, I'll add you on. And also, if our brothers and sisters have, thank you to all of you who are joining. If you have any questions for Brother Ali, this is your opportunity. He's super busy, very, very hard for me to try and get this live today. So take advantage. If you've got any questions, please ask. MashaAllah, people here joining from Kashmir and all sorts. So yeah, thank you. Ahlan wa sahlan to everyone. And yeah, please continue, bro.
Yeah, so
sorry, bro. One thing I just wanted to mention is
yes.
in my work that I've been doing with singles, and I just want to, for the record, thank you as well, because some of the interactions that we had, especially on like Clubhouse, when when we were on that app, I think that was an app which was more of a kind of a lockdown app, wasn't it? It's not as popular these days, I don't think. But it kind of opened my mind and my thoughts to the singles niche and how I could serve them. And then since then, alhamdulillah, I've mashallah made some good sort of connections with our community, specifically in the singles niche. And one thing I've realized that is that there's like most of the people that have reached out to us for help are sisters, and a lot of them are doing well. Like if you look at it from a career perspective, mashallah, you look at their religion, their modesty, their haya, it's all there. It's the package, it's the full package. But when it comes to the marriage situation, they're struggling. And one thing I've noticed with our sisters, and obviously I don't want to make any judgment here, like to anyone specific, but I'm just talking about generally speaking. Like there's sometimes a problem with, like, you mentioned these things about how to stand out. Like you're talking about like sincerity, you're talking about forgiveness and, and contentment and stuff. And these are great traits to have. But I've also noticed that there's sometimes a reluctance on their part. I mean, it could be because of their life journey and their circumstances. There's a reluctance for them to connect with their femininity. And what that does is that it makes them not so attractive to some of the A-star players out there from the brother side, right? So I'm just keen to see whether that's something that you kind of have a kind of an opinion on or not. But it's just something that I've definitely noticed, that they're not connecting with their femininity. And that doesn't mean to say that they should all on their marriage profile say that I'm going to cook for you 3 times a day and I'm going to be waiting for you when you come home from work and just massage your feet, take your shoes off. I don't mean it like that. What I mean is just they want to see something about you which allows you to connect with your feminine, which allows them to bring out their natural masculine energy. So I don't know if you have something to say regarding that, inshallah.
So that's a very good point, and you see that quite often, unfortunately, and you don't see it just from the female side, you see it from the male side as well. So let's just, I'll say on both sides here. So on the female side, you see a lot of qualities of women that they find, they describe themselves as, especially when they're introducing themselves. It could be on their profile or they're just meeting them in person. They talk how they're strong, how they're independent, how they're ambitious, how they're this. And there's nothing wrong with those traits. How they're successful, highly educated. Again, nothing wrong with those traits. But when it comes to your own personal development, those are things you highly value. But when it comes to the opposite gender, they may not value that when it comes to finding a spouse because they're not necessarily the top of the list of the characteristics they're looking for a spouse. Let's flip the script for a second. You have men on the other side who have these traits as well that they have developed, and women may not find those things attractive. You have men who are highly submissive. You have men who are highly agreeable. You have men who are I'll just support whatever you are doing. So whatever decision you make, whatever your opinion is, I will just say it in my voice, so you can hear in my voice. This type of that thing. And women don't find that attractive. So the same, and why is this occurring on both sides? The reason why is because neither gender understands what the other gender really finds attractive and what they're looking for. They have defaulted to what they find attractive. So they literally have become the very person that they want to marry. And then they wonder why no one's looking for me, why someone starts talking to me and then they just stop talking to me after a short period of time. And they don't understand why they're getting ghosted, why these same people are not choosing me, but they're choosing the person right next to me and to the left of me and to the right of me. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with me? So they, instead of saying, hey, maybe I should change the way I'm doing things, or maybe I should look at things a little bit differently, or at the very least, let me try to understand what the opposite gender finds attractive, they become defensive and say, well, they must be intimidated by my submissiveness of a male, or my this and this as a male, or whatever. And the female will say he must be intimidated by my success and my money. Well, here's a thing that you have to really think to yourself. If, let's say in the perfect scenario, you are introducing yourself as how successful you are and how much money you have and all this other stuff, and he listens to this, and says, mashallah, that's fantastic. That's great. How much money you have? Well, how much do you make? Okay, this is great. If he's responding that way to you, what do you think is going to happen when you get married? He's going to capitalize on that. He's looking to cash in. And that same man that he's cashing in on you, you will resent him. So that if want to attract him and he's attracted to this and he's not intimidated, then you're going to present the same guy after he takes advantage of that. So it's a lose-lose situation. You want the guy who doesn't care how much money you have, how much money you've made, how much stuff he can benefit from you. Why? Because Islamically, that stuff should be yours. Like that money, whatever you make is yours. If you decide to share, it's up to you. If you don't, you're not required to, like a man is. Yeah. But if you want him to value you based on that, then he will value you based on that. And that's how you're coming into marriage. Now you're talking about a partnership, not a companionship. And what is the difference? And you hear the word partnership mostly from sisters, not from men. Partnership is when I hear the word partner, I think 50-50. Well, that's what two partners are. You and I, if we decide to start a business tomorrow, we say let's be partners. We, by default, without even saying the words, we're thinking 50-50. We're not thinking, okay, you know what, Ali, you're going to do the abundance of the work, and me, I'll just do work here and there. If I'll support you when you need it. But I just need you to do majority of the work. No, that's companionship. And men are literally looking for companionship. Men are looking for someone that they can take care of. So what happens is when a man is speaking to a woman for marriage and they're interacting, the men who are looking for companionship, who's looking for, I'm not here to take advantage of how much money you have and all these other things, and he sees how strong and independent and how you're well taken care of and you don't need anybody. And sometimes she even says, I don't even need a man. What happens is he's like, oh, mashallah. And then that's it. So I'm like, oh, swipe right. He continues moving on to the next sister. And he said, well, what happened? It was such a great conversation. He seemed to be such a nice guy. We had one or two conversations, a couple of phone calls, and then completely disappeared. Wait, what? I don't understand men. But men don't speak out loud. We don't communicate like women do. We just silently swipe. Yeah. So, but we do it physically. Like we're just gone, right? And we move on to the next sister because we are looking for a situation where we are needed. That's what men find attractive. That's how we find our value. We just need to feel needed. We just need someone to sacrifice for, someone we can give for. That is not how a woman thinks. A woman is not looking, I'm just looking for a situation where I can sacrifice for a man and just give him everything so he can relax at home and be comfortable. I have never, ever met a woman who thinks that way. And I've literally talked to thousands of people. So if you have that one exception, and that sister will be listening, oh, I'm the exception. I want to work full time and have my husband stay home and play video games. And just as long as he's just comfortable, okay, you are the exception. But for the rest of the 99.999 sisters out there, they will start resenting that same husband. And that's oftentimes you hear those sisters who end up divorcing their husbands and stuff like that, is because the guy was taking advantage of her, and she did not like that. She wanted a man. And oftentimes you hear these single sisters say, where are the men out there? What they're really saying is, where are the men who have those masculine traits, who want to sacrifice for their wife, who will put their family first before themselves, who will sacrifice even their own health, their own livelihood, their own wealth? Nothing is really theirs. They're here to serve their families. Where are those men? And the problem is, those men are the same one you're pushing away by using a certain terminology, by saying, hey, I'm well, I'm okay. I'm exactly fine as I am. And when all those men will swipe right, and eventually, who's left? The very men that are left are the men who are ready to take advantage of your success, of your wealth. All that money. How much did you save again? Oh, okay, thank you. Keep taking notes. I said, mashallah, this is such a nice guy. I like this one. He values me for me. No, he values you for how many dollar signs or pound signs you have next to your money. That's what he's valuing you. And then when he takes advantage of that, he's like, I can't imagine how I keep attracting these losers. Well, excuse me, think about this for 1 second. If you're a fisherman and you keep throwing the pole out and you say, what kind of fish is this? And you throw the pole out, what kind of fish is this? For 1 second, think to yourself, maybe it's the bait. Maybe it's what I'm using to attract people. So maybe if I change my words, my behavior, my mannerisms, the way I'm interacting with people, maybe I will attract a different type of person. Instead, guess what I do? I blame the fish. These other fish don't want to take my bait because they're intimidated by my bait. Yeah. And you know what the fish are doing? This. They're laughing. This is the most, ask any man, we talk about intimidation. And by the way, women are convinced this is intimidation. Ask any man, they actually literally laugh. Not like LOL typing it. They literally laugh out loud when they hear this because it's the most farthest from the truth. That's not what they're looking for. Now, again, some sisters will say, well, the men I'm talking to doesn't that. Of course, because the men you're attracting with your mates are the same men, are the ones who are the 50-50 guys. But the men who are the ones who want to provide, have a strong instinct to provide, are the ones who will just pass by you as soon as they hear certain words from you. It has nothing to do with you as an individual. Again, your personal development and what you're working for, success, being highly educated, making really good money, being whatever it is, that is great for you. But there are certain things as you're looking for in a spouse, and he's looking for a spouse, that you guys need to value in each other. And like, for example, there is, let's say a man comes to you and says, I'm a really good decorator. I can take anything and beautify it. And you're like, okay, that's fine. If that makes you happy. But he's like, wait a second, why aren't you responding the way I was expecting to respond? You must be intimidated by my decorating skills. The sister would start laughing, like, what? Yeah, I can literally beautify myself more than you can do to yourself. And the woman starts finding you unattractive. It's like, wait a second, that's the definition of femininity, by taking anything and making it more beautiful. The very fact that you are acting feminine, it makes you unattractive. This is why the simps get such a negative perception by females, is because they are doing all the things they find attractive in the opposite gender, and they're becoming a female. So what I mean is, what do men find attractive? They find attractive is someone who listens as is highly agreeable, who doesn't like challenge every type of thing when someone else is saying, even if that person is saying something wrong. Women, by the way, find that attractive when you actually stand up for what you believe in, even if it disagrees with what her view is. They don't want a man who agrees with everything she says, even when she's wrong. In fact, sometimes she will test you to see, are you that type of man? Why would she do that? And the reason why she does that is because if you are just a follower, then how could you be a leader? How could she trust you if you just listen to what everyone can manipulate you so easily? And she's like, wait a second, if I can manipulate you, the world out there is going to easily manipulate you. So I can't have you as my leader. I can't put all my blind trust in you when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes you the leader of the household and you're supposed to make the final decision and you can be manipulated. No, I don't feel safe that way. I don't feel secure that way. So she will test you to see how far she can push you. And if she can push you off easily, you're not the man that she needs to be. She needs the person to be able to say no when he really believes no. Not because he's oppressive or dictator, but because he thinks this is the best thing for the family, what's best for them. Sometimes I make decisions that my wife or daughters may not like, but they know I do it out of love. If I make it for just selfish reasons, if I do it from put myself first, they'll never trust me again. But at the very end, when the smoke clears and everything settles down, Baba, thank you so much that you decided that. I didn't think of that. And or my wife may say, I want to do this or go this place, but I don't see what you see. So as the bodyguard in this household, I, as a male, may see a dangerous situation that the female may be in and say, I don't want you to go to this place. While the female may look at it and say, well, you don't want me to have fun? Everybody else is going. Anyway. So when I make a decision, it's not because I don't want you to be happy. In fact, my happiness is watching you guys be happy. But it is difficult for me to tell you not to go someplace, knowing the repercussions of it, where you guys all have a silent treatment for the next 2 days with me. But as a man, I should be able to absorb that and take that in. Because I have to make decisions and be accountable for my decisions. That's the key. And that's the hard part about being a man. We are going to be accountable for every decision that we make. And on the day of judgment, sisters, all the wives that are out there, you don't have to answer for anything of the final decision. When we were on Clubhouse, I used to ask this question. I said, sisters who want to make the final decision, are you willing to be accountable on the day of judgment and take that burden off of your husband's shoulders and say, listen, Allah, I will take on all the accountability and whatever is the punishment of if I mistreat or make any of these decisions for my own self, I will make all the decisions and the final decisions in the household. And you almost hear zero sister says, I don't want that. I don't need anything else on the day of judgment on my shoulders. So, but men, we don't have a choice. We weren't given a choice, do you want it or not? We have to take it. And Allah will have never put it on us unless we can absorb it and take it. But there are many men out there that are not, unfortunately, men. And this is a whole different discussion. Why aren't they the men they should be? Why aren't they acting like men? There are multiple reasons for this. And I'm not trying to get off the topic here, but it could be the way they were raised by their parents, because we raise our daughters to have life skills. The daughter may know how to do laundry, she knows how to cook, she knows it, but the boy is treated like a prince. He does not do anything. So where is he going to be responsible for a household or family if he's been treated like a prince his whole life? So these boys are raised and they're still boys no matter if they're 20, 30, or 40 years old. While women mature very quickly and we have to give them the life skills that they need. So then women are wondering where are these men that we need to match up? Some of us men, to be fair, we didn't have a good father role model in our household, and we may not have the good male friends that we need to keep us in check, to keep us accountable. And when we don't have that, then we become more like females. Because when we don't have people to hold us accountable, and we're too sensitive for accountability, then what kind of men are we? So a real man, and this is for the sisters who are watching, you want to see who his friends are. And see those friends are going to be a reflection of him. The men who keep him in check. The men are real men, are the men when he fights with you, and he's not going to say, no, divorce her. No, that's not how you do accountability. A good man will know that you have a good wife and say, look, if she talks like this or says like this, be patient. Women sometimes they say things they don't mean. Yeah. So be patient. You have to be able to absorb it. Every time she responds to you emotionally, you cannot respond emotionally. You have to be able to absorb it. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm saying may get under some people's skin, some sisters' skin as well. And the reason why is because they want a man to respond. They want a man to respond sometimes emotionally. They don't know what they're saying. And the men who listen to this are going to get themselves in trouble. You know, it's unfortunate that when you think about it, it's like if a man responds emotionally or shows those emotions that women want to see, then you're going to see jealousy. You're going to see anger. You're going to see all this other emotion. These are all emotions, by the way, not just the good emotions. These are some bad emotions that you don't need to see these things. You need a man that's to be able to hold this stuff in. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, that's unhealthy. Yes, it would be unhealthy for a female, not necessarily for a male. And why is that? Because females, the way you process things is by speaking about it, by verbalizing it. That's why when you have your husband listening to you, you don't need him to solve your problems. You just need him to listen to you because you're processing it out loud. Now, the men on the flip side, when we're processing information, guess what we do? We go somewhere or more secluded and we start processing, internalizing it. And if you keep asking us what's going on, tell me what you're thinking, why don't you talk about your feelings? It is disturbing us how to process it. Now, if we cannot process something, guess what we do? We go to the person which we think is more likely going to help us solve that problem. Because our brains are all solution oriented. It's not about processing our emotions, but more about how to solve problems, which is another way, by the way, men value themselves. So if I don't come to my wife for a specific issue, it's not because I don't love my wife, it's because I don't think she has the expertise in this part of life or maybe in this situation to solve it. So I'm going to go to my friend and ask him, hey, how would you deal with XYZ? While females will tend to go to their female friends, the one they feel closest to and connected to and emotionally attached to, and they will talk about whatever the problem is, even if that female is not the best in solutions for her. They're not that great at finding solution-oriented situations because they're not there to look for solutions. They're oftentimes there to process. And men are not looking to process, they're more looking for solutions. And because we think so differently, when you bring both of them together, they don't understand each other. Males don't understand females, females don't understand males, and this is where all the confusion and chaos occurs. So, yeah.
It's such a, mashallah, you really broke that down so intelligently, so eloquently as well. I mean, it's such a vast area. And as you said earlier, like, you know, if we just were to talk about why are brothers not real men, right? You know, that they should be, you know, the protectors and the providers that many of the sisters are looking for, then that in itself is a whole, so that's a whole topic in itself. But I guess,
and to have to attract those people, by the way, You know, I think that's where we're talking about today's topic is, yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday about the same similar situation we're talking about right now. A sister actually asked me after we were doing the singles event yesterday, for those who are wondering what we're talking about. I was doing a singles event yesterday, and a sister actually asked me about men and women and this and that. And I said, sister, let me ask you something. And by the way, I've said to every single sister, and I confirm it here again. If all these people, what number of people, 12 people listening to us right now, I will ask you this question and confirm and say, Ali, you're wrong. The majority of women are not attracted to the majority of men. They're not. But the majority of men tend to be attracted to the majority of women. We find the majority of women attracted, not all women, but the majority. Women, as far as just looks alone, the top maybe is about 5 to 10% of men that they find highly attractive. Maybe 5%. And if you don't believe me, the stats show it. When they do the right swipe, left swipe, the stats are public information. You can Google this stuff. Look at the data. I don't care how your feelings are. Look at the data for the 99.99% of people out there. The numbers are showing it. Men find most women attractive. Most women do not find the majority of men attractive. So if this is not the case, so how did women get married to men? Well, what men do is they have to have other amazing qualities that make up for the lack of physical attraction. So that's why men have to have X and Y and Z, right? But women don't have to have all of these amazing qualities because their attractiveness alone takes up that pie chart, about 70% of it. Now they just have to have a few other things, qualities, to make themselves approachable for men for marriage. That's it. That's why a man can go marry a sister who works at the local cashier at a place who has no education, has no money, has no this, and she has certain qualities, and he will marry her. But a woman will never, ever marry a brother who has just works at the local Tesco and just basically whatever, and just doesn't have any type of education, doesn't have money, doesn't have this, he just looks good. She'll never marry him. She may find him attractive physically, but that's not enough for a woman to marry you. So that's why we men have to have these, work on these other traits that makes us attractive. The problem is that sometimes today we're not working on those things because we don't know how to. No one's really taught us because, again, it goes back to what I was mentioning before, the real male role model wasn't there. We grew up maybe in a single mother household where our mother teaches us about what she knows and how she understands females and understands how to be a man. But because what she's attracted to as opposite gender, but she's not a male, so she can't tell you how to process your emotions, how to process your feelings, how to take care of things, and how to stand up for these situations. She doesn't understand that part of it because she's not a male. Similarly, as a male, I can't teach my daughters how to be feminine. Yeah. I don't care. I can be the best father in the world. That is something that only women are naturally built to do, and that's what they can do, and that's how the only people who can teach femininity are females. Masculinity are males. Yeah. So because of these things are missing when they're growing up, we don't have that. So now as men, we have to surround ourselves around other men who can show us how to do this. And this is, by the way, when people are wondering, why does people like Andrew Tate become so popular when he talks about all this XYZ, and why is this so person, maybe some red pill movement stuff, even though some of the red pill stuff, by the way, goes against Islam, why there's so many young men listening to this stuff? Brother, send them the hadith about this and tell them about this. But why are they still listening? It's because there's such a lack of men teaching you how to be men in this very feminized world today. Men are attracted to something that makes them feel like a man. That's why. Yeah. But this is a topic no one wants to talk about. So today I feel that this is the missing element, is that where are the Muslim men who are practicing Islam who need to show men how to be men just by example and by teaching them from our own mistakes and the things that we learned that we didn't know, because maybe we were missing good role male models as we were growing up. Yeah. And if we have this, you'll suddenly see the quality of men start going up and your pool of candidates going up. Because the very fact that you only find 5% of men available that you guys want to marry, that's a really scary thing. Yeah. And to be fair for the men, there's a huge shortage of I'll say huge multiple times, shortage of feminine sisters. Yeah. So yes, the majority of women are physically attractive, but why aren't men marrying them? Because they don't look at them as wife material.
Yeah.
Most men will pass on most women. That's why you're not getting proposals. And women say, well, I can attract these men. No, you attract them for different things. You're not attracting them for marriage. If you want to see who you're attracting for marriage, see how many proposals you're actually getting from quality men. Not proposals in general. How many quality men have you been able to acquire a proposal from?
Yeah.
And most women will say, if you're single, you haven't. Unless you decide to pass on quality men. So now the question is, why am I not attracting those quality men? Because if you're a quality man, you want a quality woman. So if I have a bunch of check boxes that everyone, the females are looking for, then you have to be the equivalent version of me to have all of these check boxes of what I'm looking for. But the problem is, as I said earlier, both genders don't really think about this stuff, and we don't care what the opposite gender is looking for. You just need to accept me for being me. Okay, how's that working out for you so far? That mindset doesn't work. So what I'm trying to propose to people is understand and learn what men find attractive. Find out what females like attractive, right? What they each find attractive. Understand these things, learn it, listen to videos. And when you find this stuff, work on those things. So today we were talking about some of the things that you can, and I was trying to write them down here, like someone who is content. Things that you can work on that is in your hands, okay? I think someone's content, someone who holds themselves accountable. Someone who doesn't just randomly just blame others for whatever their situation is. By the way, that's one of the toxic traits. If I was single looking to get married, I would look at how many times that person's blaming everything else on everything else. Oh, let me tell you that my ex. I'm not marrying your ex. I thought I was marrying you. Well, let me tell you about my ex. I don't care about your ex. What did you learn from your marriage? What did you learn that you can do differently? And if you are blaming 100% on your ex, and everyone knows there's two sides to every story, that means you didn't learn anything. So whatever your ex went through, I'm going to go through with them next. So no thanks. Pass. Next person. We talked about someone who's easy to forgive, forgives easily, and is late to anger. Someone who's most beneficial to others. Someone who doesn't compromise their deen, even if they're in an awkward situation. Someone who has life skills that make them a good husband or wife. What are life skills? Stuff you find offensive. Like what? Being able to cook. I find it offensive. Okay, starve. How's that? You like DoorDash? You like ordering online everything to be delivered? That's not a husband or wife. You have to be able to do basic things to take care of yourself. You have to be able to hold your ground, because look, what if you don't have the money one day to have these delivery fees and order everything online? Do you know how to do basic stuff? Not that you have to do it, but knowing how to do basic things? No. You know how to take care of your bills yourself? Have you been responsible for anyone before? Right? And those type of things. Someone who's disciplined. Someone who's like, and sometimes people look at each other to see how disciplined you are. And if you're not disciplined on some of the things that people can visually see, like, for example, the way you take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, if you're like 300 pounds, and I say I'm a very disciplined person. No, you're not. You have to be able to take care of, like, okay, how much intake did I have? Stop blaming, oh, I'm like this in this situation, I didn't have food for this. No. I have to be able to say no in certain situations. And why is this? It's not about the food, by the way. It's because if you can't say no to food in every situation, how are you going to say no to other human natural instincts and temptation? That's the fear that the people have. Because the weight you can lose. But if that discipline is not there, you're going to have other major issues that can hit you. Someone who's continuing, someone who's humble, even with the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them with. You know, there's brothers who are wealthy, sisters who are beautiful, but they keep that humbleness. And you would never know that you would think they don't even know they're wealthy. They don't have no idea how beautiful they are, just because of the way they carry themselves.
MashaAllah.
Someone who treats, someone who treats the least important person, the least significant person in their life with the same level of respect as everybody else. This could be the person who cleans up your trash. You will see how someone treats a waiter, a waitress, a person in a restaurant, someone who is completely has no benefit for you in this dunya, how you treat someone that quote unquote lower than you, someone who's serving you in a restaurant, you will see a lot about that person's character. Not the way they're treating you, when someone is depending on them, now you see who they really are. So, and then a couple more, it will be someone who doesn't give up just because something's hard to do. There is something, a quality trait that I see in a lot of single Muslims who've been through a lot and they're still not giving up. That shows a side of you that shows you that there's that level of resilience. Because that quality, and you wonder why all these qualities are important for a marriage. Well, guess what? No matter who you marry, you're going to struggle at a certain point. You're going to have arguments, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have times that you just don't want to be with that person. There'll be times you don't want to talk to that person. But if you are having that level of discipline, says, listen, I'm not going to run to divorce every time we have an issue. I'm not going to go put our life on Instagram because I'll tell you what my husband did. Let me tell you what my wife did. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be much more of a disciplined person to hold my tongue when I need to hold my tongue and not respond with everything through emotions. That takes a lot for someone to do that, right? So, and then finally, there's been so many of these things, guys. I don't want to keep going on and on, but there's all these different traits of what you're trying to do. All you have to do is your character. All these things align with your character. And there's a reason why the character is so important in Islam. If you're missing something, any of these things that we're talking about, your age is not the ideal age. Your height is not your ideal height. Any of the characteristics that you have no control over, then you cannot just be average in everything else. You have to accept the circumstance that you're in and be exceptional in something else. Exceptional. And ask yourself this exact advice that I'm giving others to ask yourself as well. If you have, all of you who are listening, you have a certain number of check boxes that you're looking for in a spouse, right? It can be a list of 8 things I want, 12 things I want, 5 things I want, whatever the things are. As you're listing, you have in your mental head what you're looking for, and ask you which one you want to compromise on. You're like, I really don't want to compromise because these are things I really want in a spouse. But I say, okay, I'll make a deal with you. Would you be willing to compromise one of those or 2 of those in exchange that some of the other things you're looking for, they become exceptional in? And I can almost guarantee you'll say yes. So by you saying yes to that, it's showing you that other people have the same mentality. So if you are missing something and you want someone to bypass that checkbox that they by default are looking for, then you have to be exceptional, and that means you have to work on qualities that others look for. I find a lot of times people say, I'm working on myself. If you listen to them very, very carefully, they're not talking about themselves and things that the opposite gender finds attractive. They don't care what the opposite gender finds attractive. They're just working on stuff. They feel like I'm healing, I'm taking care of myself, I'm feeding myself, I'm looking after myself first. That's great for you, but self sounds like selfish, doesn't make you attractive. I'd rather you say I'm working on things that I hope my future spouse will find attractive, because this is what I've learned from what men want or what women want, and this is what I'm working on. So I want to be the most highly attractive as far as not just physical, but personal, as far as mental, emotional, the way I'm my character. I want to be that type of attractive. I'm just going to be working on. And that's what I'm trying to become. So when someone meets me, that, wow, this is a very exceptional man or exceptional woman. Because even if they don't connect with me physically, I have a really, really good person for you. I have my friend who's looking to get married. And that's something everybody wants to recommend you. That's the world we live in. You know, if you find a really good product, even if you don't need it, right? Because I already have a microwave, I already have a refrigerator, you're going to recommend it to someone who doesn't. Because you want your people that you know in your life to be happy as well, inshallah. So hopefully that covers a bunch of stuff for those who are late to this. We've been talking about all the qualities that you can work on so you can be an attractive person that's in your hands. Because when they put us on swiping apps, when they put us on websites, we are limited to what? Your picture, your first name, your age, and that's about it. People don't get a chance to know you. You have literally 2 seconds before they swipe by you. And that's, your picture isn't you. Just having a bunch of, your age isn't you. Your divorce status isn't you. There's a lot more to you than that. We are having a singles event for those who are not aware in London. We have over 400 people apply so far, and we did our event last year, and we still another week or so away. But we did our event last year. 500 people applied, and mind you, there's only 40 seats for men, 40 for women. So our Saturday event, I think, is sold out. Sunday we have a few seats left. I think 6 brothers seats left, something like that. 6 brothers, 6 sisters to finalize it, and that's it. But the challenge that you have that's different than your single speed dating events, because this is not speed dating, is there's a balance of men and women. In addition, that is a 1-to-1 ratio. This is something you'll never, ever hear from the other organizations. It is the age range that the others are looking for. So that's the key thing. You can put a bunch of people in the room together and say, even if there's an equal number of men and women, and there's almost no success. Why? Because the 21-year-old sister and the 39-year-old sister and a 21-year-old male are not going to likely connect with one another. There are 2 levels of maturity, 2 different parts of their life. She's like, I have a son your age type of thing. That doesn't work. So just putting a bunch of men and women in a room doesn't work. You have to be able to have an equal number of men and women in addition to what age ranges they're looking for. So after all that, then you have to have unique activities that allow you to learn about each other so you can figure out compatibility by people who understand the space. Go look at most of the people who organize these events and tell me they really understand the space. Tell me if they struggle to this. They probably married their cousin and now they're doing single events. Ask them, have you gone through these events yourself? Have you struggled looking for your other half? No, I'm a businessman. That's what they are. So what the thing that I'm trying to do is like, I struggled myself. So when as a person who struggled, I'm like, okay, what type of things would I need to figure out what's a good wife or a good husband? So I would have to ask these type of compatibility questions to figure that out. And by the way, all the stuff I'm telling you, I actually did myself. So I actually met my wife in London, Hyde Park, for those who are familiar with the High Street, Kensington area. So I met her in Hyde Park. So we're not in a private place. She actually sat on a park bench. I was about 6 feet away. Before social distancing, we had social distancing the halal way. And I met her for the first time we spoke. 9 days later, I was married. This was 22 years ago, 23 years ago. So before I met her, I was speaking to multiple people, not at the same time, but multiple people contacted me. And each person who contacted me, instead of me talking to each person, I would send them a series of questions to filter them down so I can only know which one sister I want to talk to. And that's what I did, filtering them down. So the idea is when you guys come to this event, we have these activities that allow you to filter all these people at this event down to the 1 or 2 or 3 people that you want to actually talk to possibly for marriage. And then from those 3 people, who's going to be the one you're going to pursue possibly for marriage. That's it. A lot of these other things is like, oh, we'll just put you in this room and just talk to everybody. What am I supposed to say? We don't know. Talk. Asalamu Alaykum. Walaikum salam. So what do you do? I don't know. Whatever I just said to the other person, and literally you become a recording device. You say the exact same thing to every single person. Yeah. It's the exact same conversation. So by the time you get to the 40th person you're speaking to, you sound like this. Like, why? You didn't look excited to meet me. No, you're fine. I've just said the exact same thing 40 times today. Please shoot me. That's what you look like, right? And that person, there's nothing wrong with that person. But you don't know anything about anybody. All you have is their first name and their name badge. There's no data about anybody in this event. What our events are, there's 250 data points. Every time you do an activity, guess what happens? You have the answers on your phone now. Whatever they're interacting with is on your phone. And now you don't have to type it in and remember, the system does it for you. And guess what it does in addition to that? It measures compatibility in real time. So let's say, for example, check this out. I'm doing an activity at our table we have 4 brothers and 4 sisters. We're doing an activity, blah, 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 we're talking. Then we're going to rotate. But when we rotate, we're going to do a new activity with new people. Then I'm thinking to myself, I'm at table number 3. There's a table at number 5 over there with that sister there. I wonder what her answers to this activity was. Well, I press the button and I can see her answers. She can see mine. And it calculates match percentage with every single person for different activities throughout the program. So you really are going to find in-depth level of compatibility, so you don't waste time with a bunch of people that are not compatible with you. So if you guys are interested, go to my name, babaali.com. There's a London event. There's a few seats left. Saturday's done. Sunday's a few seats left, and that will be done probably by today, tomorrow, Tuesday maximum. And then we just close out the events. The last two times for those who are wondering, well, does this thing actually work? The last two events we've done in the UK, we've had 61% success rate. So one day we had like 74, one day we had 50 something. So they vary. So, and then you average it out, came up to 61%. Now you're wondering, wait a second, why is one like 70 and one's like 50 something? Is because every event has different attendees, and different attendees, some of them are open-minded, some of them just want to do things their own way, some of them, their mannerisms, their behavior may be different. Those have nothing to do with the organizer or the actual program. It could be you guys met people, they're just weird. They're acting crazy, they're acting rude. You don't see that on people's profiles, you don't see that in their application, but their mannerisms and the way they interact, their energy is so different, right? A woman who's very masculine or a man who's very feminine, and you do put these people in a room, you don't see that on the profile. So what we do is we do the best we can to try to get everyone into the room that we think is most compatible with each other, and the rest of it we leave in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even with all that, 61% success rate, inshallah. I'm looking forward, and I'll be coming myself to host these events.
Mashallah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in person, inshallah. And if you guys have any questions, not just in person, if you guys see me next weekend, but if you guys want to reach out to me, my Instagram is Real Baba Ali. And inshallah, I'll try to answer you guys' questions there, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah, jazakallah khair, bro, mashallah. We covered a lot, and you talked about some real good things, practical things, that people can take on board, like feeling, having humility and being sincere and putting the religion first, and these are all great things which our brothers and sisters should really kind of invest their time to attain these skills. I think one thing probably maybe worth mentioning is that brother, like you said, for example, that look, hey, you can actually go online nowadays and learn these things. Like you can simply just type what do men like, what do women find attractive, and you'll be able to get a lot of pointers, right? Also, I think things like premarital courses.
Yes,
and there's some good ones out there now. I think that really would help, especially people in the Muslim kind of community, because sometimes when you Google things like that, you might not resonate with you because it's more kind of mainstream. But if you want something which is more kind of focused on kind of the Muslim mindset, then there's some really good kind of premarital courses. I think that would help people, right? Because
100%.
Yeah.
And brother, they don't. Most people don't even do those things. So lots is wondering, where do I find a man who's like serious about marriage? If you take a premarital course, that shows you're really serious. Yeah. Even if he's maybe not married, decide to marry you, he's showing you by his actions that he's learning, trying to how to be a good husband. Similarly, a sister is learning from another sister how to be a good wife. The problem we sometimes have is we're learning from people that are not experts in this field. We're just asking our friends. Yeah. Our friend is single. He's not married himself. How is he giving you advice on what you should do with your wife? Or your single friend, a female friend, is telling you, oh, you should divorce your husband. She's divorced and single for like 10 years. And she's giving you advice on how to stay married? No. You have to take advice, nothing disrespect to those people. Take advice from those who you want to emulate their life. For example, if I'm looking to be successful husband, I'm going to go ask my male friend who's a husband for 20 years and has been able to stay married for 20 years. What is your secret? How do you do it? I'm not asking my friend who has 5 divorces and does not have married to any of the sisters. Yeah. Why would I ask him? Not that he may not be a bad person, but his expertise is not on how to stay married.
Yep.
So the problem is we end up taking advice from people we think is our friend. Your friend is, you don't ask the imam maybe how to do your taxes. You ask him for other things that he's an expert in. Why do you go ask your specific people that you're just friends with on how to stay married? It doesn't make any sense. So ask people like yourself or other people who are doing courses or people who are offering solutions on how to do it. The people who are like learning these things So you can understand from people who are in this field on how to be a good husband, how to be a good wife.
Yeah.
Once you have those traits, trust me, people will coming to you. You don't have to be running around, oh, how do you find a person? You're going to be one of those people that people are looking for, right? So that's what you have to become. You have to become that very person that other people find attractive. I'm not talking just physical attraction, just overall attractive just by the way you carry yourself, inshallah. That's what we try to cover today. Some of the things you guys can work on, inshallah. So
Yeah, mashallah, absolutely spot on. And also I think it's really important to mention that, like, they say it takes a village to raise a child, right? Now, like, many of us are second generation Muslims, right, who have come to the US, Canada, UK, whatever, right? And we didn't really have the upbringing, right?
Yeah.
So that's even more reason for us to get this type of education. The older generation didn't necessarily need premarital coaching, right? Because they were raised by the village, literally. There was uncles, aunts, even the guys selling vegetables, on his kind of wooden stall or whatever, right, would give you some kind of some advice. So, like, that's why I personally I feel like a lot of our brothers and sisters now growing up, especially second generation growing up in the West, they have like childhood wounds, right? And that is actually sabotaging them in their marriage search as well. Like, for me, it's been fascinating just discovering this, because I wasn't really, that aware of it, but it's become very apparent to me. Like, the amount of times I ask people, like, did you feel loved when you were growing up? Did you feel worthy? Did you feel good enough? And the amount of times they say, well, actually, my dad wasn't present for me, or, my mum was a narcissist, or whatever, right? And because of that, they've subconsciously programmed themselves, hard-coded themselves neurologically to believe that they're not good enough to find their ideal spouse, to find their ideal husband or wife. So with all of that thrown into the mix, it's like so important, I feel like, to have people like yourself, who you can, Baba Ali's done so much, kind of content. He's put so much content out there in terms of how to get yourself ready for marriage, right? Because the reality is that this Muslim marriages are a real minefield. And even if you find your ideal spouse, right, the statistics are showing, like, I think in the US it's almost 50% failure rate in the first year, right? That's another topic of discussion, right? Like, why are Muslim marriages failing, right? We've never had something like this. We're actually, like, competing with the mainstream now in terms of the statistics for failure.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just so important, I feel like, to learn from people like yourself, right, in this modern time that we live in, especially when we don't have that infrastructure around us.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think, inshallah,
And that's, by the way, that's sometimes you see people that will give up on good people because of that, because of the way they were loved. If you watch how someone was growing up and how they were loved, and if their love was toxic from their parents, that's their understanding of what love is. So when they don't find someone who is that same type of toxic love, they don't think they deserve it. Yeah. So they will give up on a good person and then go after something. They're attracted to the wrong type of person. It's just because of the lifestyle, unfortunately, they grew up in. And this is where it's important to kind of like tap into what was your relationship with your father like. It tells you a lot about that person. Not just, I'm talking about the female side, because that is important, but the male side as well. Because if the male doesn't have a good relationship with his father, and unfortunately there's a lot of bad fathers out there. Yeah. If he doesn't have a good relationship with the father, then he doesn't really understand how the male, he may overcompensate on being more on the feminine side and less on the masculine side, because he's trying to be the opposite of his own father. So maybe his father had some masculine traits, but he had toxic type of traits as well, in addition. So he doesn't want to be his father, so he's trying to be the exact opposite. So he ends up doing that. And from the female side, she may have a really bad relationship with the father, or watched her father mistreat the mother, abuse his power. So now she has a mistrust of men naturally, because I don't have any good male role models in my life. And the one male role model I had was a father who's extremely controlling, and didn't allow me to do this and this, but not because of protectiveness. It's just because of his own insecurity, whatever situation. So now she thinks any man who does this or says that is trying to be controlling. So now both of them, because of stuff that they have experienced growing up, they're having these challenges for the opposite gender. Yep. So this makes it more, you have to really go back and see what's going on, like what happened. If you do not identify like what this stuff is and overcome it, then you're going to carry this stuff on into your marriage. Yep. And then you're not going to realize, why am I why am I either attracting the wrong type of men or women, and why do I want these people and I pass on these good people?
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
I find it very fascinating myself as well.
Yeah, yeah, but inshallah we'll end it there. Jazakallah khair for your time, bro. Really, it was honestly a real pleasure to connect with you again. And inshallah, I'm hoping that we're gonna meet finally in person next week when you're in
Inshallah.
London. And yeah, you know, we're not promoting the event. The event doesn't need the promotion, mashallah. It's almost like sold out already. But yeah, I think it's just good for people to kind of understand what it takes to be a high value Muslim man and a high value Muslim woman, you know, in our modern times, with all the challenges that we have with social media and perceptions and lack of upbringing and toxicity in families and things. So thank you so much, bro. Really, you are a real gem in our community.
One thing I just quickly wanted to mention, I did, for those who are familiar with my work, Baba Ali all started back in the days when I used to do Ummah Films videos. A series called the Reminder series, where I talked about controversial topics, which I didn't feel either scholars weren't talking about or Muslim personalities weren't talking about. And they were very controversial for that time. Those videos, I was the first Muslim video blogger that mentioned, like 20 million views, but that's not important. What's important is talking about those topics that need to bring to the surface. And today, almost 20 years later, we have new topics that are affecting us. That is not only just affecting us as Muslims, but our marriages as well. So I decided to start the series again, and I started it last weekend. So if you guys go and type in the word Baba Ali, you'll see my first video, which is a controversial topic, which is a topic about either equality or chivalry. Which one would you choose? And I talk about why people choose equality and why it comes from a position of pain, not because it's something that either side wants. I say things like what we just talked about right now, that a lot of sisters choose equality because of the way their father treated their mother, and a lot of men choose equality because they didn't know who they married until they saw their ex in court. Yeah. You see, it's controversial right there. So a lot of these topics I just released these information. So if you want to have these discussions, inshallah, go check out the videos and maybe give you some food for thought. The only reason I'm making these videos, I want you guys to think about these things so you guys can find each other better. And if there's some barriers that are preventing you from getting married, I want you guys to at least be aware of some of these issues and challenges that are out there. And I've tried to be balanced for both male and female. So it's not like hating on women or hating on men, but I'm trying to make you guys, inshallah, think about these things. So because my end goal, just like yourself, we're just trying to help people. And my whole goal is to help people get married, inshallah. So if you guys are happy, even if you don't use my platform, as long as you guys get married and marry the right person, I'm more than happy with that, inshallah.
Awesome. That's excellent news about the video. So is that on YouTube?
Yeah, you can just go to babaali.com. I put a link on the videos there. It's an easy way to find it. Just go to babaali.com. The event for London is up there, will be there. And the videos are going to be there. And I'm trying to put one video per week. So the next one is about obedience. See, controversial.
Mashallah. You're not holding
all
back.
All the stuff we talked about on Clubhouse, bro, I'm making videos for it. And they're on my Instagram too. So a bunch of them are on Instagram, talks about if a man is chivalry versus a man is equality. And then it talks about if you're in a life and death situation, what it looks like.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. It's funny, actually. I remember when we used to have those rooms on Clubhouse. I don't know if are you still on Clubhouse? Do you still do rooms on
No, I'm not on Clubhouse. Okay. I should go back and do some topics, but
I remember, you used to get really frustrated sometimes. You say, you know what? One of these days, I'm just going to record YouTube videos because I keep repeating myself again and again. So I'm glad you're doing this finally.
Yeah, the question was like, oh, can you explain what femininity is? I'm like, why am I explaining it? I'm a male. Ask a woman. And remember the rooms, every single person would ask what femininity was a female. And I'm like, why are women asking men what femininity is when you guys are the ones should be explained to us? Let me explain to you what masculinity is because I'm a male. You should explain to me what femininity is. But anyway, so I said, you know what? Instead of repeating it like I said on Clubhouse, I'm going to start making YouTube videos. And if you guys want to go look at it for reference, it's right there online. So it'll be controversial, but it's good because sometimes you need to ruffle some feathers. You can't make an omelet unless you break some eggs. So,
mashallah.
All right,
awesome.
Sorry for the long talk, but hopefully people find it beneficial.
Inshallah, I'm sure it will be. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who joined and everyone who watched the replay as well. And if you have any questions, you can go to realbabaali.com or DM Brother Ali directly on Instagram. And also, of course, you can message us as well, and we can liaise on your behalf, inshallah.
Yeah, so if
Jazakumullah khair.
you can put the video on your thing so people can watch this
Yeah.
inshallah if they need to see later. All right,
Definitely be safe.
Assalamu alaikum.
No problem. Thank you. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran.